They passed me over for promotion, saying I was nearing retirement anyway, so I outlasted 3 CEOs and became one myself, and then did the unthinkable. My name is Patricia Morrison, 52 years old when this story begins, 23 years at Henderson & Cross Financial, and the day they told me I was too old to be promoted was the day I decided to take everything they thought I couldn't have. This isn't just a story about age discrimination, it's about patience, strategy, and the long game that young people never see coming. It was a Tuesday morning, March 15th. I'll never forget the date. I'd been called to the executive floor to meet with CEO Richard Cross himself, along with my direct supervisor, Tom Henderson, and the VP of HR, Sharon Mills. I knew what this meeting was about, the senior vice president position. Head of investment strategy, the role I'd been working toward for 5 years, the role I was more qualified for than anyone in the company. I had the track record, 23 years of stellar performance. I'd brought in the company's 3 largest clients, managed portfolios worth $800 million. Never had a losing quarter. My client retention rate was 98%, the highest in the firm. The job was mine. Everyone knew it. I'd already started planning how I'd restructure the department, which analysts I'd promote, what new strategies I'd implement. I walked into that meeting confident, prepared, ready. Richard smiled, that corporate smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Patricia, thanks for coming up. Have a seat." I sat, crossed my legs, waited. "As you know, we've been considering candidates for the SVP position. You were, of course, at the top of our list." Were. Past tense. My stomach dropped. "However," Richard continued, "after careful consideration, we've decided to go in a different direction." The room went cold. "What direction?" I asked. "We're promoting Kyle Anderson to SVP." He said decisively, "Kyle, 28 years old, been with the company for 3 years, nice kid, smart enough, but nowhere near ready for SVP." "Kyle?" I couldn't hide my shock. "He's barely managed a team of 2. "Kyle has tremendous potential," Tom jumped in. "Fresh perspective, energy. He represents the future of this company." "I have 23 years of proven results," I said, keeping my voice level. "Kyle has potential. There's a difference." Sharon from HR cleared her throat. "Patricia, we appreciate everything you've contributed to Henderson & Cross. Your experience is invaluable. But," Richard leaned forward, "Patricia, you're what, 52? 52. Yes," I answered. "And you're probably thinking about retirement in the next few years," he said. "I'm nowhere near retirement. I plan to work at least another 15 years. I retorted. 15 years is a long time, Tom said. "But realistically, at your age, you're nearing the end of your career. SVP is a long-term position. 10, 15, maybe 20 years. We need someone who can grow with the role, someone with longevity ahead of them." There it was. Too old. They were saying I was too old. "You're discriminating against me because of my age," I said flatly. "Not at all," Sharon said quickly. "This is purely a business decision based on long-term strategic planning," Tom said. "It's age discrimination, and it's illegal." Richard's smile disappeared. "Patricia, let's not go there. This is a promotion decision, not a termination. We're not firing you. You still have your job, your salary, your benefits. We're simply choosing a different candidate for one specific role. A candidate who is 30 years old with 3 years of experience over a 52-year-old with 23 years of proven excellence, because you think I'm nearing retirement. We think Kyle is the better fit for where we're taking this company," Richard said firmly. "That's our decision, final decision." Silence. I stood up. "I understand. Thank you for your time." "Patricia," Sharon called as I walked to the door, "I hope you'll continue to be a team player, continue to mentor Kyle as he transitions into this role." I turned back, looked at each of them. "I'll continue to do my job, excellently, as I always have, and we'll see how things play out." I walked out, took the elevator down to my floor, went to my office, closed the door, and started planning. That night I went home to my husband Marcus, poured myself a large glass of wine, told him everything. They did what? Marcus was furious. That's blatant age discrimination. Sue them. I'm not suing them? Why not? You have a case. Because lawsuits take years, cost money, drain energy, and even if I win, I'd be the woman who sued the company. I'd never work in finance again. Every firm would see me as a liability. So what? You just accept this? No, I do something better. What? My Suband asked. I smiled, sipped my wine. I outlast them, all of them. Marcus looked confused. What does that mean? Richard Cross is 63. He'll retire in 2, maybe 3 years max. Tom Henderson is 61. Same timeline. Sharon Mills is looking to move to another company. I heard her on a call with a recruiter last month. And Kyle? I laughed. Kyle's a millennial. He'll get bored and leave for a startup within 2 years. They always do. So? So I stay. I wait. I watch them all leave. And I position myself to be the one standing when the dust settles, I replied. That could take years, he noted. I have years. They think I'm nearing retirement? I'll show them what 52 really looks like. I'll outlast every single person in that meeting. And then I'll take what should have been mine in the first place. Marcus shook his head, smiled. You're scary when you're strategic. I'm motivated. There's a difference. The next day I went to work with a new mindset. This wasn't about getting promoted anymore. This was about winning a war. First move, I made myself indispensable. Kyle was now my boss. Technically. But Kyle didn't know half of what I knew, didn't have relationships with the major clients, didn't understand the complex strategies I'd been implementing for years. So when Kyle came to me with questions, which he did constantly, I helped him. Patiently, thoroughly, made him look good. Patricia, the Jacobson account is asking about rebalancing their portfolio. What do you think? I think they're nervous about the market volatility. Here's what I'd recommend. And I'd lay out a complete strategy. Kyle would take my strategy, present it as his own, get praised for it. I didn't care. Let him have the credit. I was playing a longer game. Second move, I built relationships upward, the board of directors, the investors, the major clients. I made sure they all knew who Patricia Morrison was and what she brought to the table. When Kyle presented to the board, I made sure to be in those meetings, supportive, professional, but present, so board members saw that Kyle's success was built on my foundation. Great presentation, Kyle, board member Robert Chen said after one meeting. These strategies are impressive. Thank you, Kyle said proudly. Patricia, Robert turned to me. These look like the strategies you've been implementing for years. Your fingerprints are all over this. Kyle and I work very collaboratively, I said smoothly. He's learning quickly. Robert nodded, but I saw the look in his eyes. He knew. They all knew. Third move, I documented everything, every success, every client win, every strategic decision that worked. I kept meticulous records of my contributions, built a portfolio that showed undeniably that I was the engine behind the department's success, not for a lawsuit, for leverage, for when the time came. Year 1. Kyle struggled, as predicted. He was smart but inexperienced, made rookie mistakes, overlooked details, rushed decisions that needed patience. I fixed his mistakes, quietly, behind the scenes, kept the department running while he figured out how to lead. Patricia, I don't know what I'd do without you, Kyle admitted one day. You've saved my ass so many times. That's what teammates do, I said, smiled, kept my thoughts to myself. Meanwhile, I watched, waited. Richard Cross started talking about retirement. Mentioned it in passing at company events. Only a couple more years until I'm on a beach somewhere. Tom Henderson's health started declining. He took more sick days, looked tired, stressed. Sharon Mills interviewed at 3 different companies. I knew because I had friends at those companies. She was leaving soon. And Kyle? Kyle was already getting headhunted. Tech startups offering him equity. He was tempted. I could see it. Everything was proceeding as I'd predicted. Year 2. Sharon Mills left, took a job at a competitor, bigger title, more money. Her replacement was someone I knew, had worked with years ago. We had a good relationship. Patricia, he said during his first week. "I've heard incredible things about you. I'm looking forward to working together." "Likewise," I said, meaning it. Kyle got more restless. Started taking long lunches, showed up late, left early. His heart wasn't in it anymore. "I'm thinking about doing something entrepreneurial," he told me one day. "Finance is great, but I want to build something, you know?" "You should follow your passion," I encouraged. "Life's too short to stay somewhere you're not fulfilled." I was helping him quit, and he had no idea. Richard Cross announced his retirement. 18 months from then, June of the following year, the hunt for a new CEO began. They hired an external search firm, looked at external candidates, considered internal ones too. I made sure my name was in the conversation. "Have they considered Patricia Morrison?" Robert Chen asked during a board meeting I wasn't supposed to know about. But I had allies. People told me things. "Patricia's excellent," someone responded. "But isn't she getting close to retirement age? She's 54. She could work another 20 years if she wanted to. But would she? That's a long-term role. Have you asked her?" They hadn't. Didn't think they needed to. Assumed I was winding down, planning my exit. They were wrong. Year 3, Kyle quit, took a job at a fintech startup, VP of strategy, equity package. He was excited. "Patricia, I'm really sorry to leave you. You've been an incredible mentor." "I'm happy for you, Kyle. Go build something amazing." "Who do you think they'll promote to replace me?" I smiled. "I guess we'll find out." They offered me the SVP position, the same position they'd denied me 3 years ago because I was nearing retirement. "Patricia," Richard said, looking older, tireder, ready to retire. "We'd like you to step into the SVP role. You've been instrumental to this department's success. It's time we recognize that officially." 3 years late, but I took it because I wasn't done yet. "Thank you, I'm honored." "Of course, this is a transitional role, just until we find Richard's replacement. Then the new CEO will decide the long-term structure." Transitional. Still underestimating me. "I understand," I said. Tom Henderson retired. Health issues, doctor's orders. Richard Cross retired. Moved to Florida. Finally got his beach. And the board began the CEO search in earnest. They interviewed 12 candidates. External CEOs from other firms, internal candidates with less experience than me, a CFO from a competitor. My name was on the list, but low. An afterthought. "Patricia's great," I heard through my sources. "But she's 57 now. Do we want a CEO who might retire in 5 years? 5 years. They couldn't see past 5 years. I could see 20. Then something unexpected happened. Robert Chen called me, asked to meet for coffee, off campus, private. "Patricia, I'm going to be direct. I think you should be CEO." I blinked. "Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. I don't just think it, I'm going to push for it. But I need to know, are you serious about this? Or are you thinking about retirement like everyone assumes?" "I'm 57 years old, Robert. My mother lived to 94, my grandmother to 98. I have excellent health, energy, passion for this work. I could easily work another 20 years, and I plan to." 20 years? At least. Maybe longer, I'm not slowing down. I'm just getting started in terms of what I can do at a leadership level. Robert nodded slowly. That's what I needed to hear, because I'm tired of watching talented women get passed over because men can't imagine women over 50 having futures. It's bullshit, and it's costing us great leadership. "What do you need from me?" "A plan, 5-year vision, 10-year vision. Show the board what you do as CEO. Make it impossible for them to ignore you. Consider it done." I spent 2 weeks building the most comprehensive strategic plan of my career, not just a business plan, a transformation plan. I identified every weakness in the company, every missed opportunity, every area where we were falling behind competitors, and I laid out exactly how I'd fix it all, with specific timelines, measurable outcomes, revenue projections. I showed how I'd modernize our technology infrastructure, expand into emerging markets, develop new financial products, improve client retention, increase profit margins. Then I added something unexpected, a diversity and inclusion initiative. Not because it was trendy, but because I'd seen firsthand how age discrimination limited our talent pool. And if they discriminated based on age, they probably discriminated in other ways too. I proposed hiring initiatives focused on bringing in diverse talent at all levels, including older workers, women, people of color, people with disabilities. Diverse teams perform better, I wrote. They bring different perspectives, different experiences, different ways of solving problems, and that makes companies stronger. I wasn't just pitching myself, I was pitching a better version of the company. Robert arranged for me to present to the full board. I walked into that boardroom, the same room where they'd discussed whether I was too old to be SVP 3 years ago, and I owned it, presented for 90 minutes, answered every question, addressed every concern. "Patricia, this is impressive," one board member said, "but I have to ask, you're 57. How long would you plan to stay in this role?" I looked at him. "How long do you want me to stay?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, I can commit to 10 years minimum, probably 15, possibly 20. The question isn't how long I'm willing to stay, it's how long you want excellence in leadership, because I can deliver that for as long as you need it." Silence. Another board member spoke up. "You've been here 25 years. Why should we believe you won't retire the moment you hit CEO?" "Because being CEO isn't the end goal. It's the beginning. I've been waiting for this opportunity to transform this company, to take us to the next level. Why would I work this hard to get here just to leave?" Most people your age are thinking about slowing down. I'm not most people, and my age spans another 40 years. Would you ask a 40-year-old male CEO if he plans to retire soon? No, because you'd assume he has decades ahead of him. I'm asking you to make the same assumption about me. The room was quiet. "I'm not asking you to take a risk on me," I continued. "I'm asking you to look at my track record. 25 years of results, 3 years of holding this department together while others came and went. I'm the most stable, consistent, experienced leader you have. Age isn't a liability. It's an asset." They deliberated for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of waiting, wondering, hoping. Then Robert called me. "Pack your office. You're moving to the executive floor." "I got it?" "You got it. Unanimous vote. You're our new CEO." I sat down, tears in my eyes. "Thank you, Robert." "Don't thank me. You earned it. Now go run this company the way it should be run." My first day as CEO, I called a meeting. Not with the executive team, not with department heads, with HR. "I need you to pull personnel files for me. Everyone who was involved in the 2020 SVP promotion decision. Richard Cross, Tom Henderson, Sharon Mills. I know Richard and Tom are retired. Sharon's at another company, but I want their files anyway. May I ask why?" "I'm conducting a review of our promotion practices. Looking for patterns." I wasn't lying. I was looking for patterns. Patterns of discrimination. Over the next month, I quietly investigated. How many times had qualified women been passed over for less qualified men? How many older employees had been denied promotions because of succession planning or longevity concerns? How many people of color had been told they weren't ready while watching white colleagues get promoted with less experience? The patterns were clear, undeniable, systemic. Henderson and Cross had a discrimination problem, and it had cost us talent, lawsuits, reputation. I drafted a new policy, mandatory bias training for all managers, standardized promotion criteria, blind resume reviews, diverse interview panels, and I made it clear, discriminate again, you're gone. Then I addressed the people who'd discriminated against me. Richard Cross and Tom Henderson were retired. I couldn't touch them, but I could make sure they knew. I sent them both letters, professional, brief. "Dear Richard, I wanted to let you know that I've been appointed CEO of Henderson and Cross. I'll be leading the company you thought I was too old to help lead. I plan to be in this role for at least the next 15 years. Regards, Patricia Morrison, CEO." I heard through mutual contacts that Richard was stunned, embarrassed. He'd underestimated me, assumed I'd fade away. Instead, I'd outlasted him. Sharon Mills was still at the competitor. I called her, asked for a meeting, coffee, neutral ground. "Patricia, congratulations on CEO. That's amazing." "Thank you. I wanted to meet because I remember our conversation 3 years ago. When you were in the room where they told me I was too old for SVP. Her smile faded. Patricia, you didn't object, didn't speak up, didn't say it was wrong. You sat there and let them discriminate against me because it was easier than confronting them. I was in HR. I had to support management's decisions. You had a responsibility to prevent illegal discrimination. You failed. And I want you to know that I remember. I'll always remember. And if I ever hear your name come up in reference to a position at Henderson and Cross, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of HR leader you were. That's unfair. No, what's unfair is telling a qualified woman she's too old at 52. What's unfair is sitting silently while discrimination happens. You made your choice, now live with it. I walked out. She could deal with her guilt or ignore it. Either way, she'd never work for me. 6 months into my tenure as CEO, I got a call from Kyle Anderson. Patricia, I heard you're CEO now. That's incredible. Congratulations. Thank you, Kyle. How's the startup life? Honestly, it's harder than I thought. We're running out of funding, might have to shut down. I'm sorry to hear that. Actually, I was calling because I was wondering if there might be any opportunities to come back to Henderson and Cross. Maybe not SVP, but something senior. I learned so much there. I miss the stability, the structure, the audacity. Kyle, let me ask you something. Do you remember 3 years ago, when you got promoted to SVP over me? Silence. Yes. Do you remember why you got it instead of me? I mean, they said I was the right fit. They said I was too old, that I was nearing retirement, that they needed someone with longevity. Remember? Patricia, I didn't make that decision. No. But you accepted it. You took a promotion you weren't qualified for over someone who'd been there for 23 years, someone who'd trained you, someone who made you look good for 3 years. I'm sorry if... And now you want to come back? Because your startup failed? Because you realize stability matters? I just thought, here's what I think, Kyle. I think you're young. You'll have plenty of opportunities. You'll recover from this. But the older workers who get passed over because companies prefer fresh perspective and energy, they don't always recover. They lose years, confidence, careers. Patricia, there's no position for you here. Kyle, I wish you the best, but you'll need to rebuild somewhere else. I hung up. Marcus laughed when I told him, "You're ruthless." I'm fair. He wanted me to mentor him, promote him, then step aside so he could have my job. Now he wants to come back because his gamble didn't pay off? No. He made his choice. As CEO, I didn't just hold grudges. I built. Year 1, I focused on culture change, implemented the diversity and inclusion initiatives I'd proposed, hired a chief diversity officer, reviewed every promotion from the past 5 years, found patterns, fixed them, promoted 3 women who'd been passed over. 2 were over 50, 1 was 62. Martha, I told the 62-year-old when I promoted her to VP of Client Relations, I know they've been telling you you're too old for advancement, that you should coast to retirement. But I see your work, I see your results. You're getting this promotion because you earned it, not despite your age, just because you're excellent. She cried. I'd given up hope. Never give up hope. Sometimes you just have to outlast the people who can't see your value. Year 2, I focused on innovation, launched new financial products, expanded into emerging markets, acquired a fintech startup, ironically, not Kyle's. Revenue grew 22%, client acquisition up 35%, employee satisfaction scores hit all-time highs. Patricia's not just running the company, one industry analyst wrote, she's revolutionizing it. Henderson and Cross is now a case study in how to modernize a traditional financial firm. Year 3, I was featured in Forbes, the CEO who was too old to be promoted. The article detailed my story, the discrimination, the waiting, the outlasting, the triumph. It went viral. Women over 40 shared it, wrote to me, told me their stories. I was told I was too old at 45. They promoted a man half my age with none of my experience. I've been stuck in the same role for 10 years because I'm close to retirement. Thank you for showing us we don't have to accept this. I responded to every email, started mentoring women who'd faced age discrimination, built a network. Year 5. I was 62 years old. The company had grown 60% under my leadership. We'd become the fastest-growing mid-size financial firm in the region, innovation leader, best workplace award winner 3 years running, and I was just getting started. Robert Chen called me to his office. He was board chair now. "Patricia, the board wants to talk to you about something." "What's that?" "Your contract. It expires in 2 years." My stomach dropped. Were they going to push me out? Tell me it was time to retire? "We want to extend it. 10 years, with a significant compensation increase and equity options." I blinked. 10 years? "You've exceeded every expectation. You're the best CEO this company has ever had. We want to lock you in for the long term, if you're willing." "I'm 62. "And you could work another 20 years? We know we're not making the same mistake twice. We want you here as long as you want to be here." Tears filled my eyes. Yes, absolutely yes. That night, I told Marcus, 10 more years guaranteed. I'll be 72 when this contract ends. And then what? Maybe I'll retire. Maybe I'll extend again. Maybe I'll do consulting. Or board positions. Or write a book. I don't know. But I have options, because I didn't let them write me off at 52. Marcus pulled me close. "I'm so proud of you. You played the long game. And you won." "I'm not done yet. 10 more years. I'm going to make them the best years this company has ever seen." Year 8. I was 65 years old, the age people used to retire, the age I was supposed to be too old to lead. Instead, I was at my peak. Henderson & Cross was now a major player. We'd doubled in size, opened offices in 3 new cities. Our client portfolio was worth $3.2 billion. And I'd built something I was truly proud of, a company where age was an asset, not a liability. We'd become known as the firm that hired and promoted older workers. "Experience matters" became our unofficial motto. We actively recruited workers over 50, offered flexible arrangements, promoted based on performance, not potential, and we thrived. "Turns out," I told a reporter, "when you hire people who've been doing this for decades, they know what they're doing. They don't need years of training. They don't job hop. They're loyal, committed. They've seen economic cycles. They don't panic. They're assets." Our competitors started copying us. The industry noticed. Age discrimination lawsuits decreased across the sector. Companies got smarter, more careful. One article credited me with changing how corporate America thinks about age. That felt good. I also made sure to give back. Started a foundation. The Morrison Fund for Age Equity and Employment. We funded legal defense for workers facing age discrimination. Provided grants to organizations fighting ageism, sponsored research on the value of older workers. "You could have sued Henderson & Cross years ago," a journalist said, "made millions. Instead, you waited and built a career. Why?" "Because lawsuits are about the past. I wanted to change the future for myself and for every woman who comes after me." Martha, the 62-year-old I'd promoted to VP, became SVP at 67. "Patricia, I never thought I'd be here. I thought my career was over," she said. "Your career was never over. It was just waiting for the right leadership to see your value." She cried, again. "I'm working until I'm 70 at least, maybe longer. Because I love this, and I'm good at it." "I know you are. That's why you're here." Year 10. I was 70 years old. My contract was up for renewal. The board wanted another 5 years. I was considering it, but first I had something to say. I was invited to give the keynote at a women's leadership conference, 5,000 women in the audience, from all industries, all ages. I titled my speech, "Too Old? Watch Me." "When I was 52, I began, my company told me I was too old to be promoted. They said I was nearing retirement, that they needed someone younger, with more longevity. I was devastated, angry, humiliated, but I didn't quit. I didn't sue. I didn't accept their assessment of my worth. Instead, I waited. I strategized. I became indispensable, and I outlasted every single person who told me I was too old. 3 years later, they gave me the promotion they'd denied me. 7 years later, I became CEO. 10 years later, I'm still here, still leading, still growing, still proving them wrong every single day. I'm 70 years old, and I'm not slowing down. I'm just getting started with what I can contribute. So to every woman in this room who's been told she's too old, too experienced, too expensive, too anything, don't believe them. You're not too old. They're too short-sighted. You're not nearing the end. You're entering your power years. You're not a liability. You're an asset they're too foolish to recognize. And if they can't see it, outlast them, outwork them, outlive their tenure, and take what should have been yours in the first place. Because here's what I learned. Patience is power, longevity is leverage, and the long game always wins. The audience erupted. Standing ovation, women crying, cheering. Afterward, hundreds came up to me, told me their stories, their struggles, their hopes. I'm 55 and I was just pushed out. I'm 60 and I can't get interviews. I'm 48 and they're already talking about succession planning without me. I listened, gave advice, made connections, opened doors where I could. This was my real legacy. Not just becoming CEO, but changing the conversation, showing what was possible. 6 months later, I signed another 5-year contract. I'd be CEO until 75, maybe longer if I wanted. "Patricia," Robert said at the signing, "you've transformed this company, and honestly, you've transformed the way I think about age and leadership." How's that? I used to think leadership was about youth, energy, new ideas, but you've shown me it's about wisdom, experience, knowing what works because you've seen what doesn't. That only comes with time. Thank you, Robert. No, thank you. For being patient, for not giving up, for showing us what we almost missed. Today, I'm 72 years old, still CEO, still leading, still innovating. Henderson & Cross is now one of the top financial firms in the country. We've won every industry award. We're studied in business schools as an example of successful transformation. And I'm not done yet. People ask me sometimes, "Don't you want to retire? Enjoy your life? Relax?" I always smile. I am enjoying my life. This is what I love. This is what I'm good at. Why would I stop just because I hit an arbitrary number? My mother worked until she was 85, loved every minute, said work kept her young. I understand that now. Work isn't what ages you. Feeling useless is what ages you. Feeling like you have nothing to contribute. That's what kills people. I wake up every day with purpose, with challenges to solve, with people to lead, with impact to make. That's not work. That's living. Kyle reached out last year. Again. "Patricia, I saw your Forbes profile. Your speech went viral. I've been thinking a lot about what you said about age discrimination, about how I benefited from it. I want to apologize." Kyle, "No, let me finish. You were right. I took a job I wasn't ready for because they preferred youth over experience. I didn't speak up, didn't question it, and that was wrong. I'm sorry." I was quiet for a moment. "I appreciate that, Kyle. I'm at a different company now. We're expanding our leadership team. I recommended they talk to some older candidates, people with real experience, because of you, because of what you taught me. That's good, Kyle. That's growth. Would you be willing to have coffee sometime? Not about a job, just to talk. I'd like to learn from you." I thought about it. The angry part of me wanted to say no, to hold the grudge. But the wiser part, the part that had spent 20 years learning patience, knew better. "Sure, Kyle, let's have coffee. Because this isn't about revenge. It's about changing the system, one person at a time."